wanted to show you how I did this winter design. I'm gonna teach you step by step so you guys can do this at home. But before you start, make sure that you prep well the nails, and I already done this step. So now I'm gonna put the form and I'm gonna close it off a lot more than usual because today's video I'm gonna be doing coffin shaped nails. In this first nail, I'm gonna be creating this ombre design between the pink and white. So I'm gonna start using the pink acrylic, and basically what I'm going to do here is create the tip of the nail. And like you guys can tell, the nails are gonna be pretty long today. They're gonna be over XL size. And now that I have the tip done, I'm gonna apply the white acrylic. And here what I do is that I keep dragging the acrylic down until both of the colors mix well. That's the most important part of doing ombre designs, is that both colors have to almost melt together. And now something extra that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna encapsulate this nail. You guys definitely don't have to do this step. This is just something a little bit extra. I just feel like the ombre design is gonna look better this way. And now that I have this done, of course, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the side. I feel like this step is so important because what this is going to do is that it's going to make your nail have more of a natural shape. And this is how it looks like. Now moving on to the second one, this one is going to be a lot more simple. I'm gonna be making this nail like I would usually do. I'm gonna apply the first bit between the natural nail and the form, and slowly using my brush, I'm gonna do little taps on the acrylic and I'm gonna drag it wherever I want it to go. Also, if I feel like the thickness is too thin, then I'm gonna keep applying some more bits until it looks like the way I want it. Now that the shape is done, I'm gonna apply the last bit, and here what I'm going to do is I'm gonna make sure that everything is well covered. It's so important not to have any little spots left behind because that can make your nail eventually break. And I'm still going to apply some pressure on the sides. Now moving on to the third one here, I'm going to start by applying the form, and make sure that you close up the form a lot more because that's going to be way easier for you to create a coffin shape. I'm going to start building up this nail just like I done earlier. I'm going to put the first bit between the natural nail and the form. Slowly I'm going to drag the acrylic downwards until it's pretty long. And a little tip that I have for you guys when you do acrylic nails is to use the lines on the form as a guide. That's what I end up doing, and it's a lot easier to know where you have to be applying the acrylic. And of course, I'm gonna apply the last bit and I'm gonna make sure that everything is well covered. But remember not to touch the cuticles or the skin because that can make your nail lift. And of course, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the sides. Make sure that you guys don't miss this step because it's so important. Now moving on to the last nail here, I'm gonna start by applying the form. And what I'm going to do is this ombre design, but it's going to be a little bit different because I'm gonna be changing the colors. First, I'm gonna start with the white acrylic and I'm gonna be creating the tip of the nail. The way that I do this is that I push the acrylic upwards until it's on the upper half of the nail, but I don't go all of the way because otherwise the ombre design wouldn't look the same. The way that I'm going to do this is that instead of applying pink, I'm gonna apply crystal clear acrylic, which is basically what I would use to encapsulate nails. I don't usually do ombres this way, but I feel like it ended up looking really cool. And here, I just did the same thing. I applied the bits and I drag it downwards. And just like I did all throughout this video, I'm still gonna apply some pressure on the sides. And this is how the acrylic nails ended up looking. They're not perfect, but that's why I always say that filing is one of the most important steps. When I file nails, I like to start by filing the sides. And since these are coffin shape, I'm gonna make sure that the sides are sharp. And this is how the nails look like after filing the sides. Now they look a lot more defined. And the last step to do is to file the surface. And you guys know that I like doing this step using my e-file. But if you guys want to, you can use a regular one. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be filing down these nails until they're pretty thin. And also if there's any bumps left behind, I'm going to make sure that they are well filed. And this is how the nails look like after being filed. Now everything is done and we're ready to do the design. But before we start, make sure that you clean off the nails, because after filing there's always going to be some dust left behind, and that can actually make our design look dirty. Something different about this tutorial is that I'm gonna start by applying the top coat, which is something that I would usually do at the end. But this top coat is gonna leave the nails looking matte, especially since we're gonna be adding glitter. I feel like it's going to look better this way. And of course, I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds. And this is how the base ended up looking. Now everything is ready and we can do the first design. I'm gonna be using this thin nail art brush because it's going to make the whole process easier for me. Also, I'm gonna use this white gel paint because the texture is a lot thicker, so I feel like the design is going to look better this way. And on this first nail, what I'm going to be doing is that I'm gonna be creating the design but only on the pink side of the nail. And basically what I did is that I created these 3 lines that serve me as a base. And now in the middle of it, little by little, I'm gonna be creating this sweater design. I know that it looks a little bit hard, but basically all you have to do is make these 3 lines. The only difficult part of this is that you have to make sure that they're all about the same size and the same thickness. And this is how it looks like, but we're not completely done yet because we have to apply the glitter. And I'm gonna be using this white one since we used white gel paint, and actually has some undertones, which I feel like it looks really pretty. And this is so easy. Basically what you have to do is apply the glitter on top of the design and make sure that everything is well covered. And now I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds. And this is how it ended up looking. I feel like adding glitter makes the whole design look better. Now moving on to the second nail, here I'm gonna start by creating these lines that are actually gonna serve me as a base, because here I'm gonna do a snowflake, or at least I'm gonna try to do one. So now that I have the lines done, I'm gonna start creating this type of star. It's pretty easy. Basically, I'm just gonna be making some more shorter lines all around it. And also, I'm gonna go over it because I want these couple of lines to be thicker than the rest. When you guys apply glitter on a design, what you have to make sure is not to cure it before you add it, because otherwise it's not gonna stick. Now I'm gonna continue to make lines, but this time they're gonna be in between. I hope that you guys can see it better on the video, and they're also going to be pretty long. And also something that I'm going to do is that I'm gonna create this couple of lines so it can kind of look like a star. The only difference is that this time they're gonna be thinner. And this is how it looks like. Now we can add some of the glitter. Like you guys can tell, I recommend you to put something beneath it because it can make a complete mess and it can be really hard to clean up. And basically what I'm going to do is add the glitter all over the nail and cure it for about 60 seconds. And before we move on, make sure that you clean off the nails because we don't want the extra glitter to stay on it. Now moving on to the third nail, here what I'm going to do is create this type of sweater design, but it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be adding hearts. But the first step to do is to create these two lines because they're gonna serve us as a guide. I try to make them both as symmetrical as possible. Now I'm gonna start creating the hearts, and this looks a little bit difficult, but it's actually way easier. What you have to do is create two dots and then use the thin nail art brush to kind of unite them and create the heart shape. I recommend you guys to use the dotting tool because it's going to make the whole process way easier for you. Like you guys can tell, I'm gonna keep creating hearts until it gets on the tip of the nail. And also, I'm gonna try to make them all look the same. And this is how it looks like. Now I'm gonna move on and add some more details on the sides. I think that this is the easiest part of this nail, and basically what I'm going to do is make these short lines all over it. The only thing that I'm gonna try to do is to make sure that both sides kind of look symmetrical. And just like I done earlier, I'm gonna apply the glitter all over the nail, and I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds. I'm gonna make sure that everything is well covered. Before I do the fourth design, I'm gonna clean off this nail, and this is how it ended up looking. I feel like this is one of my favorite designs of this set. Now I'm gonna move on to the fourth one, and this one is going to be way more simple. I feel like I'm also going to be creating a snowflake, and I'm gonna start by creating these lines that are gonna serve me as a base. I don't know if you guys can tell, but the two first ones are gonna be the longest ones, and I'm gonna do two more that are gonna be short. And then this is so simple, but basically what I'm going to do is add some dots all over it. I'm still going to use the same dotting tool because it's going to make the whole process way easier for me. And before I add some more details, what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna apply the glitter. Make sure that you guys apply it all over the nail so everything is well covered. Remember to also clean the nail. And here what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna be creating kind of like small stars, and like you guys can tell, this is very easy. I'm just gonna do a bunch of dots all around the nail, and I'm still gonna use the dotting tool. And of course, I'm still gonna cure everything for another 60 seconds. And this is how the final design ended up looking. I love the combination between the white and the pink, and also I feel like adding sparkles makes the whole design look better. I know that some of these designs are a little bit complicated, but if you follow step by step, I'm sure that you can do it as well. I hope that you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, make sure that you subscribe and like this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!